Hi, hope you're having a great day wherever you are, right? So today I want to talk just the key news first, right? And I'm not doing my recording at usual time because later on I have to go for a seminar, a full day seminar. And I just want to give you the quick key news now quickly, right? Now, 4 topics today. First is mammoth Facebook outage sends users to their alternative Telegram. I want to tell you what is the analogy here. Why is it so significant for crypto? Next, right, Tether updates, right? It seems now that they are saying they are backed by reserves, not just cash. It's very, very fishy. I'll tell you why later. And next, right, SEC chairman highlights they're still concerned about investor protection. Does that mean Bitcoin ETF is not coming? And lastly, we have Tom Lee, right, former JPM equity analyst. He said the Bitcoin's price is on the verge of raising into a bull market. So let's quickly look at each one. First, we have Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, right, announced that 3 million new users signed up to his encrypted messaging service in just 24 hours. Why is that? Because, right, Facebook and WhatsApp faced the 14, you heard right, is 14 hours of outage yesterday, right? And that is the problem because they have 2.5 billion users in total, and this 14 hours is the worst outage they have ever seen, right, since their establishment, since it's being created. And that has led users, right, because today, in today's world, social media, there's so many alternatives, right? And Telegram is a great alternative. Why? Because it's private, right? It doesn't take a lot of your private, a lot of your information and sell it for marketing, right? That's what Facebook does. Telegram is a complete opposite, right? They offer people privacy and the encrypted messaging service, right? So which is something that Facebook is not so good at, but Telegram offer a perfect alternative in this case, and that's why a lot of people are flocking to Telegram to open new accounts. That's where they can communicate. And don't you see something very, very similar here with crypto or Bitcoin and fiat money, right? Why is Bitcoin the first cryptocurrency created? It is created exactly because there is an inherent weakness in the fiat money that we know today, right? And that is exactly what happened. Since the 2008 crisis, a lot of people are questioning what is money, how is money created, right? And that has led to a lot of answers, right? People are finding out slowly that actually ever since the crisis, the US government, right, have to bail out the banks because they said to prevent a further meltdown of the whole global financial industry. So they have to bail out the banks. Bail out means, right, to pump in more capital to save the banks from bankruptcy. Now, how do they do that? Because they do not have enough money. That is talking about trillions of dollars to save the banks. They do not have enough money in their coffer at that time, or in their wallet, right, so-called at that time. So they have to print money. And when you print money, right, basically you're saying, I'm, just unlimited supply. And you will see, right, I've done this analysis before, and basically, since the last 10 years, the money supplies has increased at a very, very rapid rate versus like the last 100 years or last 50 years combined, right? You can see the curve from a very flat curve to a very steep curve, and that is the problem. Because money is created at such a rapid rate, it just loses its value. Something has value because it is limited in supply, it is scarce, right? And that gives its value. But when money is created too fast, then the money value reduces very rapidly. And that's why a lot of people experience a lot of inflation. Prices are increasing very rapidly in the last 10 years, right? And they don't really know why. It's because your money is losing value. Not the goods is increasing very fast in prices, but because your money is losing very value fast, right? Hence, your money is not so worthwhile. So you need more of your money to buy the same number of goods. And that is why you have to pay more, right? That's exactly the problem. Now, and because of all this is one of the main issues. Then Bitcoin is a great alternative, and that's why it's adopted by a lot of people who truly understand how money is created, right? And that is the why, right? And also, so the thing is this, right? Bitcoin is good because it is not inflationary. That's one thing, right? It is properties of 21 million units being coded in the maps, right? Ensure that it has a very strong value because it is limited, and for sure it is limited, right? And I know some people might say Fox, but there's only one Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, yes, they're all copies, but it's only the true version that has the value, right? Just like if you think of a very valuable painting, yeah, everyone else can do a copy, but it's the original piece, right, that really has the value. Same here with Bitcoin. Yeah, the other thing is, of course, Bitcoin offers that privacy and anti-censorship, right? That means no government can bar you from using the banking system because you're using Bitcoin, right? And they can do that if today your ideology is just not aligned, and you can be barred from the banking system. You cannot use PayPal, right? You cannot use your banking account. Yeah, a lot of the government services you cannot use, right? And so Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies offers a strong alternatives, right? It's just a very strong alternative. And just like in this case, when Telegram offers a strong alternative to Facebook, right? Although Facebook is incumbent, but when Facebook and WhatsApp faces any major issue, people will flock to the alternative. That's exactly what happened in Venezuela, in Greece, right, where countries experienced hyperinflation. What does hyperinflation mean? It just means prices are going like crazy, right? I mean, in developed countries like Singapore, US, you're probably seeing 2 to 3% inflation reported, right? Actual might be a double of that, but still, that's still not major compared to Venezuela and Greece, where you're seeing like, in Venezuela last year's 1 million%, right? Can't even imagine that amount, right? It's basically losing values. Like 99.99% of the Venezuela Bolivia actually has lost in value. And that is why people there, they are more flocking. I mean, people there are more accepting, and they're actually using Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, especially those who are educated, those who have access to internet, right, who know that there's an alternative, they are using it. Similarly here, right, so that's why I see that when there's an issue with the fiat money, and that will happen in the, a lot of people are predicting the financial crisis going to come. And when that happens, right, I do foresee a lot of people will recognize then a true alternative of Bitcoin and major cryptocurrencies will be there for them. Yeah. So that's why I'm very positive, and optimistic about the potential of cryptocurrency and adoption in the long term. Next, Tether updates website says USDT backed by reserves, not just cash. Now, the title is not very revealing. Let's just look at it. Tether just updated its website to clarify that each of its USD Tether tokens, which it used to claim were always backed one-to-one with traditional currency, are backed by assets other than fiat currency. Now, still not very clear. Let's go on. Now, the website instead reassures its patrons that it's always 100% backed by its reserves. It clarifies this vague language, even legalistic language, by saying these reserves include traditional currency and cash equivalents, and from time to time may include other assets and receivables from loans made by Tether to third parties, which may include affiliated entities. Now, this is key. Now, it used to say, right, that one Tether is backed by one USD. Now they're saying, right, one USD Tether is always valued by Tether at one USD. So there is a very subjective word here, value, right? Now, what does that mean, right? And if you see now, they say, so it's not just backed by cash, it's backed by other assets and receivables from loans. Now, what is this other assets, right? And if you're talking about other assets, if you're talking about financial assets change in value all the time, even though the traditional ones like equity and bonds, they changes value all the time. So how are they going to ensure that it's definitely, they definitely have enough of that margin, right? How do they ensure that it's always equivalent to backed up their amount of USD Tether tokens out there? And the other part, which is very worrying, is receivables from loans. So you're saying that they lend out money, right? And these loans, now, if you lend out money, there's always that risk that people will not return your money, right? That's called default risk, third-party default risk, right? That basically the borrowers, right, that you lend to will not return the money for some reasons. How are they going to ensure then, all the people will return their money, right? And at the time of wanting, how can they ensure this, right? That's the other thing. And it seems like they are just having another machine to pump up money from themselves by lending out their reserves. That's just like, ridiculous. I really think, right, that there are alternatives out there. For me personally, I don't own Tether, right? And there are a lot of alternatives of stable coins out there that are backed by US dollars as well, like Gemini USD, True USD, Paxos, right? That very frequently they already, they are audited by very top-notch audit firms, and they publish very, very frequent audit reports that their reserves is always backed by the same amount of USD reserves. At least that gives you confidence. But whereas Tether, they did not have any audit report. So for me, Tether really, really owe the industry, the community, a very clear explanation of what they are doing. And this latest news is making it worse, honestly, my opinion, right? But a lot of people may not understand. I hope this clarifies for you, right? Because this just means that they could lend out your money, right? And if everyone withdraws the USD token at the same time, which is very unlikely, but if everyone do that, they may not have enough money to return you because they have lent it out, right? And some of the assets may have dropped in value. So what do? How are they going to, top up their reserves is a part which I'm not clear at all. So, but I always think the market is a free market. There are alternatives now. Why don't people just go to alternatives as well? And yeah, although Tether is still the largest today in terms of market cap of stable coins, yeah. And also very good news, yesterday Paxos just announced that they are going to have a stablecoin backed by precious metal. That is even better because, as we all know, right, we are moving to cryptocurrency because there is inherent weakness in fiat money. And why are we still having stablecoins backed by fiat? So now that Paxos is going to, later this year, they're going to definitely have a stablecoin backed by precious metal. That is really good because precious metal, as you know, is definitely more scarce, right, than fiat money. So yeah, so that's why it gives it just much more, value. Next, SEC chairman highlights investor protection in regard to Bitcoin ETF. So US SEC chairman Jay Clayton is still concerned about investor creation when it comes to approving a BTC ETF, a Bitcoin ETF. He said, what I'm concerned about at the moment is if it can be reasonably demonstrated that the underlying trading is generally not manipulated, it's happening on reliable venues with good rules, and that custody is something we can feel comfortable about. Though he also said, I think this technology has and is already demonstrating pretty significant promise, but is demonstrating significant promise in the places where it's consistent with our approach to capital raising in the past. Now, back to his first quote where he says, right, he's concerned whether it can be reasonably demonstrated that the general underlying trading is not manipulated, one, happening on reliable venues with good rules, and custody is something that they can feel comfortable about. So this indicate to me that, right, as we know, Fidelity already have their crypto custody live, right? Although it's not full version yet to all their clients, but they are already starting with select clients. I believe, right, now Fidelity custody is definitely something that the US SEC should be comfortable because it's Fidelity, right? It's a very established Wall Street firm, right? They have over 7 trillion in assets under management. So, and tens of thousands of institutional clients, right? So definitely very, very credible name. But I think that they are waiting for this like crypto backed, right, which is also owned by the New York Stock Exchange owner, ICE, right? And they're going to offer their custody when it's launched later this year. And when Fidelity custody, when they are also going to roll it out live to everyone, and when they demonstrate some track record that is definitely very safe, I think then the US SEC will be much more comfortable, right? And also when it says happening in reliable venues, a lot of very credible names are offering crypto exchange already, right? Upcoming is NASDAQ and ICE, right? Backed. That is definitely coming. So yeah, and of course Aries X, which are backed by Fidelity, and also NASDAQ, they are going to launch their crypto exchange soon. So with all this happening this year, right, I believe that we are in a very good place to, gearing up for the launch of Bitcoin ETF. That means most likely, I think it may not even happen this year, but definitely this year, if we get all the crypto exchange right and Fidelity custody, if everything goes well with them smoothly, right, and it's launched and everything goes well smoothly, they can demonstrate the track record, then I think the Bitcoin ETF will happen very, very soon after that. So most likely then next year, yeah? Fingers crossed. Now, lastly, Tom Lee, he was a former JP Morgan equity analyst. He said that Bitcoin price are on verge of racing into bull market. So 2019 will be year about repair for Bitcoin. He says basically the digital currency could re-enter a bull market in just 6 months. That means we're looking at September and October time frame, right? And quote him, I think 2019 is a year about repair. We have risk on rally in global markets that's positive for Bitcoin. It was a headwind last year, and the dollar isn't surging like it was last year. There's a headwind that's gone away. Now, another quote, the real story is the fundamental one that Bitcoin is becoming quite useful. We have seen the launch of digital currencies by not only JP Morgan and Mizuho Bank, but also Facebook and some social media companies gearing up. And of course, in places like Venezuela, where Bitcoin is becoming very, very largely and widely used, turmoil is causing adoption growth. So I think these are really setting up for a strong year. Fidelity is launching digital custody. Bakkt is going to launch an exchange. We have already seen some high-profile endowments and pension funds actually invest new money this year. So I think as an asset class, it's still in the earliest days, but I think it's too glib to dismiss the macro. Now, the news here is very, very interesting, right? Because so first, Tom Lee, his track record is not very good, unfortunately, about price prediction of Bitcoin. Last year, he has made predictions, that Bitcoin will end the year of 2018 at 25,000. Then he retraced that to 15,000. Then I think he retraced also to 10,000. But of course, Bitcoin didn't reach that amount, so he made a wrong prediction. But you must still give it to him, right, that he has the gut and the courage to actually make those predictions very publicly on CNBC, right? So yes, his reputation, his face is on the line, but yes, he's still there to risk that. And I think that you have to give it to him for his courage, yeah? And perhaps his analysis is not wrong, but then the market just react too negatively to negative news, although there were a lot of positive news even starting from Q4 last year. But even now, right, there's a lot of positive news, but the market is not reacting yet, yeah, because people takes time to actually change their perception and change their habits, right? Because they're so used to fiat. Now you want to ask them to adopt something that's crypto, which is very, very different actually. So it will take time for people, and habits die hard, right? So now the point that I want to make is, now he said so is gearing up for September, October. Now he could be wrong again, right? Very important, he could be wrong, but yes, he is definitely right about the fundamentals. The facts that he pointed out, yes, the new money are definitely coming in from pensions, from institutions. They are all coming in. And yesterday also there were first digital asset conferences to educate the family offices. This is something new, definitely happening in New York, right? So yes, so all this is, this is a changing trend already. It is already changing, but where's the tipping point? No one really knows, right? The key is this. Now, my opinion is that now is definitely a good time. The prices has really gone down much lower than its peak of 20,000 recently. Who knows if it might go down again lower from here? We don't know. No one knows, right? Everyone can make predictions, but no one really knows. So the key is this. So there are people predicting that it will go up to 250k. Tim Draper, right, a venture capitalist, was very rich, and he was right in predicting the previous price run. And he's saying, and some people even predicting 1 million. Now, if there's a chance for you to invest just about $4,000 into an asset, right? And there's a maybe 10% chance, only 10%, that it can go up to 250,000, which is about 60 times, right? To 1 million, that's like 1,000 times, right? So would you make the bet? That's the question you have to ask yourself, right? If there's a 90% chance that you will go to zero, right? That you will lose that 4,000, or something smaller, right? But the multiple of upside is there, right? Is very plausible, given there are so much positive things happening, so many big names now associated with Bitcoin and crypto. So will you take the bet? That is the question you have to ask yourself, right? And remember, if you are taking the bet, only invest the amount that you are willing to lose, and you must take a long-term long-term view for this, because right, no one really know. It can be next 5 years that those bullish prices may happen. It can be 10 years. It can be even 20 years. No one really know, yeah? But the question is, will you take the bet? And especially, it all depends on individual circumstances, right? But yeah, you have to digest that, right? And yeah, people can talk about all this, but the fact is the fact that you already have very big names and very traditional Wall Street names coming into this space. Goldman Sachs, right? Fidelity, pension funds, yeah, and a lot of talent are flowing into this space as well. So think for yourself, right? What is the right move, yeah? And don't just listen, right? But think for yourself. That is the message I want to end this video on, and hope you're having a great day, right, wherever you are, and I'll see you tomorrow or later today. Yeah, and God bless. Thank you so much for your support, and for all my new subscribers, thank you so much for your support.